today is the first lecture of the series on modern algebra. My name is Sharat Kanetkar. So, before we start on serious matter, let me fix the notations which I am going to use throughout the course. First is R. R is real numbers. C, complex numbers. Set of complex numbers, set of real numbers. Z, set of integers. Then union, intersection, I'll use more and more symbols as we go along. I'll define that. So these are the general symbols we are going to use. I'm not going to even mention what they are. So it is assumed that without any explanation, I'll use them. Okay. So let me start with the set. So suppose you are given a set X. Set X is given to us. What we can do with this set? First thing is we can define a map because we have only one set. Out of this, we can define only a map from X to X. So set of function from X to X. Now, suppose we restrict our attention to functions which are bijective. Bijective. On X. That means those are functions which are onto and as well as injective as well as surjective. Then such functions are called as permutations. So such functions are called permutations of on X. The set of all such permutations is denoted by S sub X. S sub X. So S sub X is all permutations of elements of X. So if mod X is less than infinity, what do we mean by mod X? Mod X is the cardinality of X. Of X. Then number of elements of Sx is equal to factorial mod X. You can check. There are exactly factorial. If S contains n elements, so there are exactly factorial n permutations of the set X. So once we have this set X, most of the time we will concentrate on X being finite. So we are looking at Sx where X is finite. So when X is the integers 1 to up to n, then we denote Sx by Sn. So when we talk of Sn, Sn is set of all permutations of letters 1 to n. In this special case, when x contains n integers 1 to n. So we will be dealing with Sn because Sn is not just a set of permutation, it has something more structure to it. So once we have this Sn, so let us consider as an example, suppose we have got Sn. So Sn is the set of all permutations of letters 1 to n. How do I represent a function f? So suppose I have got a function f from this set 1 . So to express this, give this function is to give where each and every element 1 to n is going. So I have to describe what is f of 1, what is f of 2, etc. So is there any shorter representation? Is there any easier way to describe any function? So let us consider f of, so consider n is equal to 5 and f of 1 is 2, f of 2 is 3, f of 3 is 1, f of 4 is 4 and f of 5 is 5. Let us consider this function. Obviously this is a permutation. Now how do I describe this? This is a very long winded way to describe a function. So what we will do is we will shorten this by writing it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And below this, create an array. Below 1, you see where 1 is going. So it is 2, 3, 1, 4, and 5. So when I write like this function f is given like this. So looking at this array, I know where this function or permutation very easily. 1 is going to 2, 2 is going to 3, 3 is going to 1, 4 is going to 4, 5 is going to 5. But still, writing this array in this form is still cumbersome because this first row is actually redundant. So we want to make it shorter because we'll be using these permutations every now and then. So we want to make it as compact as possible. So there is another way to describe the same function. So let us take same permutation. What we'll do is we'll start with 1. Start with a bracket, opening bracket, 1. Next to 1, find out where 2 is going, 1 is going. 1 is going to 2. So I'll write it 2. Now 2 is going to 3. So 2 next to 2, I'll write the 3. Now 3 is coming back to 1. So I'll complete the bracket. Then pick up the letter which is not appeared so far. So letter 4. Now look at the 4. 4 is going to 4. So I'll just write it down like this. And 5 is going to 5. So the same function f, I am going to describe it in the shorter form. Looking at this, you know that 1 is going to 2, 2 is going to 3, 3 is going to 1, 4 is going to 4, 5 is going to 5. So many times I will drop this 4 and 5 and write it as 1, 2, 3. Same as 1, 2, 3 because this 4 and 5, 4 is going to 4 and 5 is going to 5. So this is a shorter form of representation of permutation on letter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now this is called a cycle notation. So let me take one example and take a function 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me fix 5 and 3, 2, 1, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So this is the permutation I want to express in terms of cycle notation. So I start with 1, 1 goes to 6, 6 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, 4 goes to 8, 8 goes to 7, and 7 goes to 1. So I complete the bracket, 7 goes to 1. Then what is not appeared? 3 hasn't appeared. So 3 is going to 3. And what is not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 also is going to 5. So you can see that I can write this function in a cycle notation. These brackets are called cycles. So this is a cycle of length 6. Number of elements, letters appearing in the cycle is the length of that cycle. So this is a cycle of length 6. This is a cycle of length 1. This is a cycle of length 1. So these cycle of length 1 are called fixed points. These are fixed points of the permutation. So that means permutation fixes 3. So 3 goes to 3, 5 goes to 5. Okay. So this is our, so looking at the cycle notation, we know exactly the permutation, what the permutation is. Okay. So once we have found out the permutation, so let me now describe all the permutations on later. So let me write down S2. S2 is symmetric group on 2 letters. That is set of all permutations of 2, the letter 1 and 2. So it is 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2. This is one permutation. The second is 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 1. So these are all the permutations. There are factorial 2. Now let me take S3. S3 is 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3. This is the identity permutation. Then 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 1, 3 goes to 3. Then 1 goes to 3, 2 goes to 2. 2 goes to 3, 1 goes to 1. Then 1 goes to 2 goes to 3, and 1 goes to 3 goes to 2. So there are 6 such permutations because factorial 3. Number of elements of S is factorial 3. Similarly, number of elements of S4 is factorial 4. You can write down all the permutations of letters 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I will urge you to write these down because you will get some ideas about this permutation. So once you have these permutations, what you can do, so let us consider so let me take one permutation on 5 letters. So let sigma be a permutation on say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Say 1, 3, 4 and let me take another, add one more 6. So 2, 4, 6. Let us consider this sigma like this. So what does it mean? Sigma takes 1 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1, 2 remains as 2, 4 goes to 6, 6 goes to 4. So this is a permutation. Now what I do is, to each sigma, I'll take a matrix. I am going to assign a matrix which is a 6 by 6 matrix. To each permutation, I am going to attach a matrix, associate a matrix of 6 by 6 size, which contains only ones and zeros. So how do I attach it? So start with identity matrix. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Start this with identity matrix. So this is the identity matrix, and which has this is the identity matrix. What I do is I number the rows of this identity 6 by 6 identity matrix by the letters 1 to 6 and permute the rows of this identity matrix according to this sigma. So what does this mean? 1 goes to, so row number 1 will go to row number 3, row number 3 will go to row number 4, row number 4 will go to row number 1. So let us do that here, and I'll get a matrix which is exact. I apply this permutation to the row of this matrix, and what is that? Row number 4 is going to row number 1. So 4 is going to 1. So row number 4 comes on the top. Then 2 is fixed. So row number 2 is not changing. Then row number 3 is coming from 1. 1 is going to 3. So row number 1 will go to 3. So it is 1, 0, 0. Then row number 4, 6 is going to 4. So row number 6 will be row number 4 in the new matrix. Row number 4, and there is a 5, of course. I am missing 5 here. So 5 is going to 5. So it is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. And 6, row number 6 is row number 4 in the old matrix. So you can see the matrix we have associated. We have there is a mistake here. Row number 5 is going to row number 5. Row number 6. Oh, there is a mistake here. I just made a mistake. So this is correct. So row number 5. So this should be 1 going to 3. So row number 4 to 1. So fourth will be there. Then 2 is fixed. Then 1 is going to 3. Then 3 is going to 4. So 3 is going to 4. Then 5 is going to 6. So this is the new matrix this is obtained from the identity matrix by permuting the rows according to this sigma. So this is a new matrix. You can see that this new matrix is just permutation of row permutation of old matrix, identity matrix. So it contains exactly 1, 1 in each row and 1 in each column. So we denote this, if this is sigma, we denote it by P sigma. So P sigma is the permutation matrix corresponding to permutation sigma. And how do I obtain this? Just take an identity matrix and permute the rows of identity matrix according to sigma. You get a permutation matrix. This is called a permutation matrix because every row and every column contains exactly 1, 1 and remaining are zeros. So such assignment will be very important as we go along. So let me repeat how I get P sigma. Just take a identity matrix of appropriate size and permute the rows of that identity matrix according to sigma, and you will get a permutation matrix P sigma. Now, what is the use of this permutation matrix? So if you consider two permutations, of one x, take permutations of two permutations sigma mu, then I can compose this. Is again a permutation. Because you can very easily check it is onto as well as into or injective. So given a set x, we consider a set of all permutations of x, we can combine them or compose them. Let me give one example. Let us take two permutations like this. These are the two permutations. I call this as sigma and this is mu. So let me explain what sigma is doing. Sigma is taking 1 to 2, 2 is to goes to 3, 3 goes to 1. Mu is taking 1 to 3 and 3 is to 1, and 2 is fixed by mu. Now let me compose this. What do you mean by composition? That means sigma composed with mu takes 1 to sigma of mu of 1. But mu of 1 is what? Mu of 1 is 3. So this is sigma of 3. And sigma of 3 is 1. So mu takes 1 to 3 and sigma takes 3 to 1. So overall this combined composition of sigma and mu will take 1 to 1. Then sigma mu of 2. Let us consider this is sigma of mu of 2. Mu of 2 is 2 and sigma of 2 is 3. And sigma mu of 3 is sigma of mu of 3. And mu of 3 is 1. And sigma of 1 is 2. So you can see that sigma of mu of, so sigma mu takes 1 to 3, then 3 to 2, and 2 to, sorry, sigma 1, sigma mu takes 1 to 1, 2 to 3, and 3 to 2. So you can see when you compose, you get another permutation. Okay? So you can check very easily. Suppose you are given two permutations and you have, so sigma, this permutation sigma will correspond to P sigma. And what is P sigma? You can check very easily that P sigma is just permute the row number 1 goes to row number 2. So it is row number 2 is going to row number 3. I'm sorry. 1, 0. And row number 3 is going to 1. So this is P sigma. P mu is 1 and 3 are interchanged. So it is 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and 2 is fixed. And so if you consider P mu sigma, I'm sorry, sigma mu, it is 1 is fixed, 2 and 3 rows are interchanged. So it is 1 is fixed and rows 2 and 3 are interchanged. So this is the matrix corresponding to composition of sigma and mu. And if you multiply these two, P sigma into P mu, you will find, so let me now multiply these two matrices, P sigma into P mu. This is matrix multiplication, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, into 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. This is equal to 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 0, which is nothing but P of sigma mu. So remember this. This is the very important result. Permutation matrix corresponding to sigma into permutation matrix corresponding to mu is permutation matrix corresponding to sigma mu. So this is a very important result. That means this assignment of P takes the composition into product. This is a very important result. We will use this later on. So remember this. This is the permutation matrix corresponding to sigma. How do we obtain it? Just take the permute the rows of that matrix according to permutation sigma. So with this, now we have got hold of permutation, idea of permutation. So now what do we do with that permutation? So we know that when permutations are there, we can compose them together. But if you look at the permutation, it is a bijection. So we can always take the inverse of that permutation. So let me take the inverse. For example, let us consider sigma. Let us consider sigma to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us take sigma in a matrix form. So what does this mean? Sigma is taking 1 to 4, 2 to 1, 3 to 3 and 4 to 2. In cycle notation, the same is 1 is going to 4, 4 is going to 2, 3 is going to 3. Now we want to take sigma inverse of that permutation. So whatever sigma inverse does in the reverse order. That means sigma inverse takes 4 to 1. Takes 4 to 1, 1 to 2, 3 remains 3 and 4, 2 remains, 2 goes to 4. So this is the sigma inverse. It is the inverse. That means sigma composed with sigma inverse can change. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is also equal to sigma inverse composed with sigma. So there is one more property of permutation, set of all permutation on a set X, that you can compose it, you get another permutation, you have an inverse. You have an inverse, that means sigma into sigma inverse is an identity permutation. And which I call, so identity permutation, I call as sigma ID. So sigma ID is, takes I to I for all I. So there is one special permutation which takes identity permutation, letter I to I. So it fixes every letter. Then we can very easily see that if you compose this special permutation with any other permutation, that permutation does not change. Either way, first factor is ID or second factor is ID. It doesn't make any difference. So these are the properties. So it is composition of two permutation is permutation. There is an inverse or there is an identity which composed with any other permutation does not change that permutation, and there is inverse such that sigma composed with sigma inverse, which is same as sigma inverse composed with sigma, which is equal to identity permutation. You can see that this is an identity permutation. So these are the properties of permutation, set of all permutation on a set X, which we have denoted by X, Sx. So let us now take this property and make a general, not necessarily set of permutation, but because set of permutation, instead of set of permutation, now we replace it by a general set and use this guidelines to define what is known as group. So groups is a set with all these four properties displayed by permutation. So let me go to definition of a group. So definition of a group is a set G with a map G cross G. I'll call that map into is said to be a group if there are four, this operation is closed or G is closed under this. G is closed under this operation. Then second, there exists E in G such that Ex is or Eg or G into E is equal to G for all G in G. Then third is GH into K is G dot H dot K. This is called associativity. Associativity. And fourth is existence of inverse. For any G, for any G in G, there exists G inverse in G such that G inverse composed with G is same as G inverse equal to identity. So these are the four axioms which we have seen that they are satisfied by a set of all permutations. And actually that is the guidelines. That's why we define the group in this way, taking hint from what we did with permutations. So in other words, set of all permutations forms a group. The set of all permutations forms a group under composition. It forms a group under composition. We have seen this because all the four properties are satisfied by those permutations because these are where the guidelines to define this general group. So once you have this group defined, taking hint from permutations, now let us take example because without examples we will not have handle on these groups. Okay. So number of elements will denote by definition. This will be definition is number of elements in short, I will write ELTS in G. So this is called the order of G. So if number of elements is finite, then G is called a finite group. G is called a finite group. Suppose it may happen that A, B, G operated on H is equal to H operated on G for all H, G in G, then G is called abelian. G is called abelian. Otherwise, it is called non-abelian. So, if you consider, so S3 we saw earlier is not an abelian group. You can check by finding out two permutations which do not commute. Commute means if GH is equal to HG, then we say that GH, G and H commute. So, in an abelian group, every pair of elements commute. So, let us take now examples of abelian, finite abelian groups, infinite abelian groups. So, let me start with examples. First example is the simplest one. It is Z. Z. What is Z? Z is set of all integers. We have seen that. Only thing is we have to specify what is the operation. So, Z plus is an abelian group, is an infinite abelian group. You can check very easily. What is the identity of this group? It is 0 is the identity and inverse of n is minus n. So, it is commutative, it is infinite abelian group. Similarly, R plus set of all real numbers. Then C plus set of all complex numbers under addition. Again 0 is the identity here and 0 is the identity here. Then you take R star, non-zero numbers, non-zero real numbers. Then R star under multiplication is an abelian group. Is an abelian group. Similarly, C star. So, these are the examples of infinite abelian groups. So, are there any other abelian groups? So, let us take now finite abelian groups. Let us take examples of finite abelian groups. So, let us consider set G is set 1 and minus 1, and operation under multiplication. Under multiplication, you can see 1 into 1 is 1, 1 into minus 1 is 1, minus 1, minus 1 into 1 is minus 1. So, it is, and minus 1 into minus 1 is 1. So, this is closed under product. 1 is the identity, inverse of minus 1 is minus 1, inverse of 1 is 1. It is associative very easily, it's because Z is associative. So, this is a group under multiplication. If you consider another group which is 1I minus 1 minus I, where I is square root of minus 1, then this is also under product, this is also group, and this group is finite, it is abelian and contains 4 elements. So, in general, you can consider omega, which is the nth root of primitive nth root of unity. Take e raised to I 2 pi by n and consider all powers of omega up to n minus 1, because omega raised to n it becomes 1. Then this is also, then G multiplication is an abelian group. So it contains n elements. There are further MnR, MnC, Mnz, where Mn is n by n matrices over R, n by n matrices over C, n by n matrices over Z. All are groups under addition. Addition of matrices. What is the zero identity? Identity is zero matrix. Okay. So these are all infinite groups. There is another group which is so we'll use this notation. Mn stands for n by n matrix. Set of all n by n matrices will be denoted by n, and the entries come from this whatever is in the bracket. So this is real matrices, complex matrices, integer matrices. So this is a group under addition, but it is not a group under addition multiplication, because not every element has an inverse under multiplication. Because so we pick out only those matrices which are invertible, then it becomes a group under multiplication. So consider GLR. This is A. Determinant A is not 0. So this is a subset of MnR, n by n matrices. So consider n by n matrices with non-zero determinant. Now then this forms a, so this is our notation, GLNR. GL stands for general linear group. So this is general linear. Why general means it is all possible non-zero determinant matrices are there, and R. So this is the set of all real matrices with non-zero determinant. Then you can check. This is a group under multiplication. Under multiplication of matrices. Similarly, we can write down GLC, GLN, Z. These are complex non-singular matrices. These are integral non-singular. Here, this is not a group. Why? Suppose you consider 1, 2, 2, 0. Let us consider this integer matrix. Then this is not inverse. Inverse of this is not in GLZ. When you take the inverse, the entries are not integers. They contain rational numbers with non-trivial denominators. So this is not in this. So this is not a group, but we can take some subset of these matrices to convert it into a group. So we'll consider S, L, N, R. This is the spatial linear group. And that is defined to be matrices A in MnC, MnR, determinant A, in earlier case it was non-zero, now it is equal to 1. Then this is a group. Then Sn, Nr is a group. Why it is a group? Because determinant of from elementary matrices, you know that determinant of AB is determinant of A into determinant of B, and determinant of A inverse is equal to determinant of A inverse. So from this you can check that this is closed under multiplication, is the group under multiplication. Similarly, S, ln, Z is also a group under multiplication. Okay. So even though GLNZ was not a group, SLNZ is a group, because inverse is also in SLNZ, inverse of a matrix. Because when you take an inverse, only thing that is problematic is you have to divide it by determinant, but determinant is 1. So entries get divided by 1, so they remain integers. That's why SLNZ is a group. And it is not commutative. So there are some subgroups of SLNZ, GLNR, which are very important. So now let us consider triangular group. So it is invertible matrices with entries below diagonal to be 0. That means these are upper triangular matrices. That means Aij is 0 for all I less than or I greater than j. That means the entries below diagonal are 0. For example, A21 is 0, A32 is 0, and so on. So this is also group, because product of any two upper triangular matrices is upper triangular. Inverse of a upper triangular matrix is also upper triangular. Then there is diagonal matrices. These are A in GLNR. Aij is 0 for all I not equal to j. Then that means all the entries which are off diagonal entries are 0. You can check that this is group under multiplication, because inverse of a diagonal matrix is also diagonal. Product of two diagonal matrices is again diagonal. So these are sub groups which are contained in GLNR. Okay. There is another UNR. A in TNR and AII is equal to 1 for all I. So what does this mean? It is upper triangular matrix. So UNR matrix looks like this. Zeros up below the diagonal. On the diagonal it is 1, and there are all possible non-zero entries, possibly non-zero entries above the diagonal. So this is called a unipotent group. This is also a group, and all these are contained in GLNR. So GLNR contains all the invertible matrices. Okay. So these are the examples of groups. We will be using this. That's why I have specifically mentioned these are the groups. We'll be using it later on. Now, so with this introduction, so let me now start with deriving general properties of a group. So you are given any group, then some properties are satisfied by elements for any group. So let us start with those properties. The property number 1. Identity is unique. identity is unique. For example, suppose there are two identities, E1 and suppose E1 and E2 are two identities of G. Then we have to show that they are equal. Now, E1 into E2, E1 is identity, so it is equal to E2. But E2 is also identity, so it must be equal to E1 also. Okay, so there is exactly one identity. Similarly, property 2, A inverse is unique. Let me continue upstairs. Inverse is unique. That means suppose A has two inverses. Suppose A into B is identity and A into C is identity. Then multiply both sides of this from right by C. What we want to show is B is equal to C. So multiply this equation by C from the left hand side. So there C into A into B is equal to C into E, which is C. But this is equal to C into A into B. But C into A is A into C, which is C into A, is identity into B, which is B. So you can see, therefore, B is equal to C. So identity is unique. Identity is unique and inverse is also unique because we have considered, assume B and C are two inverses, they are equal. Suppose G is finite. Then consider A in G. So let us see what happens. I can take A. Consider A operated on A. I will denote it by A square. Then A operated on A, operated on A. Now because of associativity, I don't have to put brackets here. Any sort of brackets will do. This is equal to A cube and so on. Now, if G is finite, this set A square, A raised to n is infinite set. So, it has somewhere the element should repeat. So, thus A raised to I is equal to A raised to I plus j for some j. That is, A raised to I is equal to A raised to I into A raised to j. So, taking the multiplying inverse of A raised to I to the left, you get, therefore, A raised to I inverse into A raised to I is A raised to I inverse A raised to I into A raised to j. This implies A raised to j is identity, because this is identity, this is identity. Thus, the smallest such j with A raised to j is identity is called the order of A. And denoted by, A raised to order A. So, order of A is the smallest integer j such that a raised to j is identity. Now, so let us consider, so for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us consider sigma. Sigma is a permutation on 5 letters. Now we know that it is a element of symmetric, it's a group under composition, and therefore we can define an order. Now what happens? Sigma square is 1 goes to 2 and 2 goes to 3. So it is 1 goes to 3. Under sigma, 1 goes to 2. Then another sigma will take 2 to 3. So in general, sigma square will take 1 to 3. Now 3 will go to 1 and then go to 2. Then come here, this is 4 goes to 5, 5 goes to 4, so it is 4 and 5. So sigma square is like this. Sigma cube is, you can check that, it 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3, but 4 goes to 5, 5 goes to 4. So if you continue this, you get sigma 6 is identity. Sigma 6 is identity. So order of sigma is 6. Can you see any relation between 6 and this permutation? Could we have found or guessed the order of sigma very easily? You can see that order of sigma is, you consider the cycle. This is a cycle of length 3. This is a cycle of length 2. Then order of sigma is GCD, LCM of 2 and 3. So if you are given a permutation in cycle form, then order of sigma, that permutation is sigma, then order of sigma is LCM of all cycle lengths. So thus, in general, order of sigma is LCM of the cycle length. For example, if you consider say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let us consider this permutation. So what does this permutation do? This is on 10 letters. It permutes 10 letters. This takes 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and 5 to 1, and so on. 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 6, 9 to 10, and 10 to 9. Then if I call this as a sigma, then order of sigma, what is it? You might have guessed it is LCM of the lengths of cycle. One length is 5, the next is 3 and 2. So it is 30. So order of an element in Sn is LCM of all cycle lengths. Thus, S5, that is a symmetric group on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 does not contain an element of order 15. This result we will be using later on, so I want to emphasize it here. Because suppose we have to have an order 15 cycle, a permutation, then it should have cycle length of at least one cycle of length 5 and another of 3, minimum. That means number of letters permitted will be 8, which is not true because number of letters are too short. They are in short supply. They are just 5 letters. And therefore, you cannot have order 15 elements. Keep this in mind because I am going to use this result later on. Okay? So now we have seen how to calculate the order of an element in a permutation group Sn. Permutation group Sn means symmetric group. We call the number of a symmetric group is Sn is called a symmetric group on n letters. Now, suppose you are given another property which I want to emphasize is this. Consider a function from g to g and g going to gx for a fixed gx in g. So what it means is this function multiplies every element of g by x from the right hand side, g going to gx. So now we'll show that this is a permutation of g. Then f is a permutation of g. What do you mean by permutation of g? That means it is a bijection. So f is onto. So case 1, you have to show that f is onto. You have to show permutation means it is onto and it is injective. So f is onto. So let g h in g. Then I can write h equal to I am x inverse h, because x inverse cancel and you get h. That is h is equal to f of hx inverse. So therefore f is onto. Similarly, f is into or injective.